create a flexible budget, all we want to do is change the sales volume and keep all our other assumptions the same. So when I'm creating a flexible budget for Kids Play Toys, and I have the assumption that I'm going to sell, or my actuals, I learned that I actually sold 1,524 units. To create the flexible budget, I'm going to change my volume assumption to the 1,524, keep all the other assumptions the same. So I'm going to keep my sales price assumption at $26.25 per unit. I'm going to keep my cost per unit at $16.50 and my monthly display cost at $378 per month for the display cost. Now notice that my monthly display is a fixed monthly cost. That's not going to change at all. So the first thing I can think about when I'm doing my flexible budget is my fixed costs. So this $378 is a fixed cost. It's unrelated to the volume. I just pay a monthly charge. Doesn't matter how much business I do or how little business I do. So my fixed costs are going to be the same across all my different flexible budgets. So I know my display cost is going to remain at $4,536. My revenue now is going to change, and it's going to go up because I sold more products. So I sold 1,524 units at $26.25. So my revenues are going to be $40,005. Similarly, my variable costs, or in this case my cost of goods sold, are going to go up as well because I sold more units. I sold 1,524 units. I'm going to assume that right now my cost per unit of $16.50 is the same. Keep that assumption there. So my cost of goods sold at this new volume would be $25,146 if I kept all my initial assumptions the same. So with my flexible budget, changing only the volume of sales at the 1,524 unit level of sales, I would predict a net income of $10,323. Now, when I look at the comparison between my original budget and these new budgeted numbers, the only thing I've changed is the volume of sales. So revenue went up from $40,005, and it came from $38,935. That difference of $1,070, which is favorable variance because our revenue went up, that $1,070 favorable variance is completely due to the fact that I sold more units. Similarly, my cost of goods sold went up to $25,146. The difference between that number and our initial $24,474 is $672. Now, because costs are higher, that's an unfavorable variance. And again, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's unfavorable because costs went up, which means net income would go down. We know costs went up for maybe a good reason because volume sales went up. But costs go up, which means net income goes down. So I have an unfavorable variance in my cost of goods sold. And this $672 variance completely caused by the fact that we sold more products. Now I've separated out that effect.